guys, welcome back to my booktube channel. My name is Chetna and I make book related videos on this channel. So if you love reading, make sure you subscribe to my channel. So in today's video, I am going to talk about some of the best books that I've read in last year. And yes, I am already very late to shoot this video, and believe me, I am planning to shoot this video since January, and here I am almost when the February is ending. But yeah, I'm always late. So last year was a good reading year for me. I have read like 65 books in total last year. But yes, I initially targeted to read 80 books. And towards the end, I just figured it out that it won't work. So I kind of edited my reading goals to 65 books, which is already very great. And yes, talking about 2023, it isn't going well reading wise. Life has been crazy, and I am, running very late for my reading progress. I'm not making any progress, but I'm slowly, getting back to the reading routine, and I hope I read like good books. And yes, we have some books that I need to discuss. So I'll just okay. I'll just move here and I'll put the book cover over here as and when we talk about the book. So let's get started. Okay, so the first book that I want to talk about is Loveless by Alice Oseman. I listened to the audiobook version of this book and this was so good. It, just put me back into some of the very good memories of my college days. And this is into young adult fiction. This is a story of a girl called as Georgia, and she has recently entered into university along with her two best friends, Jason and Pip. So Georgia is not a very social person. She is slightly introverted person, so she initially finds it very difficult to make new friends, to adjust, getting adjusted to the new environment. And also she's very curious about her love life as she has never dated anyone, and also, she is never attracted to anyone. So yes, all in all, it is a story about her, discovering her sexuality, discovering about herself, making new friends, about friendship, and yes, there is a tinge of drama. And all in all, it was a very refreshing read. Alice Oseman is such amazing writer, I believe. And before this, I have read the Heartstopper series, and I am like a huge fan of it. I even watched the Netflix adaptation, and it was equally very good. So definitely read that as well and read this book as well. So the next book is I Came Upon a Lighthouse by Shantanu Naidu, and this was such a heartwarming book. I loved it so much. It is actually the memoir of the author and his friendship with Ratan Tata. And I have always heard about, Ratan Tata being this very grounded person, and this book literally proves you and gives you reason why. So definitely read it. This book really taught me that opportunities can knock on your door at any time. You just have to keep your eyes open and make like the most of that opportunity. So I loved every bit of this book. Particularly, there is one incident where the author invites Ratan Tata to his house, to have a dinner. So he's having this amras puri, and they are having a very great time with the family, with the dog, just a sweet kind of a moment. And then I found this picture, some pictures on his Instagram page, the author's Instagram page, and those are exactly the same as it is written in the book. So it was very sweet to read that. And all in all, the writing style is very like beginner friendly. So definitely give it a try. I think it originally is like a illustrated book, and I will definitely grab a physical copy for me for this. But I listened to the audiobook version of this book, and it was so good. And yes, as this is a memoir, it mostly talks about the author's life, his personal life, his family, his friends, and how Ratan Tata has been like a true mentor, true, like a friend. With him throughout his life. This book is After Dark by Haruki Murakami, and I have already posted like a detailed reading vlog for this book. You can check it out. And this book is so amazing. It just plays with your mind, and I don't know, there isn't like a specific plot that goes into the book, but I don't know, it just sticks with you. And till date, I just do not know how to summarize Murakami's books, but there are so many different narratives that one can think about, and especially the writing is very like engrossing, and at times I just found myself lost in the book, in the descriptions that are mentioned. So yeah, definitely read it. It is very different from other books of his. It was like simpler in the terms, but very very impactful. In this book there is this girl, she is sitting in a cafe late in the night in Tokyo, and she meets this stranger person who happens to know her sister, and they get into talking. So this book takes place within a single night, and as the night progresses, we get to know much more about these characters and also some other characters that are involved. And there are some incidences that takes place in the night, and yes, we there parallelly there is one story about her sister as well, which is very very interesting to read. So yes, just read after dark. So yes, I am struggling a lot to shoot a video over here, but I must finish it before the sun goes down. So quickly moving on to the next book, we have The Complete Mouse by Art Spiegelman, and I believe this book must be read by everyone. And it was very sad, very heartbreaking book that I've read, and it talks about the author's father, who is Jewish Polish, and his life before and after the World War II. He was a survivor of all the concentration camps, and there are like literally many of heart wrenching moments, especially with with his mother and father separating, and also with his brother. Many times it was very difficult for me to read that book, and especially I think it is very impactful because it is a graphic novel and the illustrations are up to the mark. So I found it very interesting and clever, the fact that different category of people are described in the form of animals. You know, they are druid in the form of animals. So the Jewish people are described as mice, the Germans are described as cat, Polish people are described as pigs, and the Americans are described as dogs in the book. You research about this book has been banned many times in many of the countries, but I believe you should be aware of these things, and if you like to read about World War, I think you should pick this book definitely. And also there is one book called as The Diary of a Young Girl. Definitely read that book. It is again very very heartbreaking. So yes, The Complete Mouse, amazing book. Okay, so I have again changed the place. I am struggling a lot with the lighting today. Just bear with me. But this video is taking a long time to shoot, but yeah. Moving on to the next book, we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have made a detailed review of this book on my channel. You can check it out. And this is one of my favorite fantasy books that I've read this year. So this book talks about this magical circus which arrives out of nowhere in any part of the world. It just appears like suddenly in the night, and there is so much of magic goes on in this place, and there is one parallel love story as well that goes, that was very very interestingly written. The writing of this book is very very good. Like, it is very beautifully written. The way the circus is described, you just feel that you are present over there, you are seeing the circus. At times it just feels very visual, the descriptions, and yes, I absolutely enjoyed reading it. But yes, I must tell you that this is a very very slow paced book, which is unlikely that I enjoyed it, because I like to read fast paced books mostly, and initially I found it very difficult to get going with the book, but after a few chapters I was okay, and yes, definitely give it a try. So the next book that I want to talk about is Atomic Habits by James Clear. So I'm the person who doesn't read a lot of self-help books, but this was very very different, very like impactful and helpful. This book talks about making tiny changes in your life which will help you in long run, and it will teach you how to develop good habits and break the bad ones. Reading this book makes you realize that this book is written with a lot of research and with examples, and I think those examples made this book very interesting. So definitely give this a try. Next book is A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini, and I finally read this book, and this was the most sad but powerful book that I've read in the last year. And before this, I have read Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini, and I cried a lot in that book. And this book, I mean, it just takes one step further, and I was literally bawling, um, crying like a crazy person while reading this book. But I believe what Khalid Hosseini, I don't know how he manages to write such strong characters, and I think that book will stay with me forever. After I read this book, I was into a reading slump. I went into reading slump. This book impacted me so much. So for days after I read this book, and I wasn't, able to read next book. But yeah, it was very amazing. So in this book, we have Mariam, who is only 15 years old when she was married to Rashid, who is 30 years old. And then after a few years, we are introduced to Laila, who is 15 years old, and she, enters into this unhappy kind of family. And eventually, slowly, how Mariam and Laila develop this strong friendship and sisterhood in living in this very like toxic and very sad kind of environment is this book. Before you pick this book, definitely keep that these things in mind. There are some trigger warnings also, so read that first. And but yes, definitely read the book. And Khalid Hosseini has become one of my favorite authors. He just writes so well, and yes, I loved it. I loved the book. So coming to the last book, we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and I am gonna, treasure this book forever for my lifetime. And I am so grateful to Madeline Miller to introducing me to this world, to these characters, to Patroclus, and I just love this book. It is, a complete package with amazingly written characters, amazing built up. The plot, the background is up to the mark. It is so beautifully written. There are numerous different quotes which you can just frame it on your walls. And the end was sad. It was painful, but very impactful. And again, I was left there with my heart broken and just crying like a crazy person. And I feel like I want to read Song of Achilles at this very moment, and yes, I definitely will be rereading it. Yes, definitely. This is a story of Patroclus and Achilles, who come from different backgrounds, and they have very different characteristics, and due to some circumstances they come together, and they are trained in arts of war and medicine, and after some time, due to some reason, they have to participate in a war, and how that war impacts their friendship, their relationship, is all about this story. But yes, just read this book and thank me later. It is the most beautiful book I have read in the last year. And yes, with that said, I have finally finished shooting this video. I hope you liked all the books, and there are so many more books that I wanted to talk about, but maybe I'll talk in some other video. With that said, I will stop right here. If you have watched this video till here, make sure you like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and yes, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.